Mellow flow. For today, all I have is a blanket that might be nice to give you a little bit of a boost for your seat and just soften the practice in general. So if you have one available or something similar, go ahead and grab that, and we're gonna go ahead and get started in an easy seat. So coming into your seat, go ahead and fold the blanket up as high as you feel you need, just to give those sit bones a little bit of a boost. Crossing one leg in front of the other, whatever comes naturally to you. And then just resting the palms on the knees, finding a nice tall spine, lowering the shoulders, maybe lowering the gaze, softening all the way to a close. Feeling those sit bones anchoring onto the earth. And maybe that takes a little shimmy or two. Maybe you need to adjust your blanket, bring it a little bit lower, bring it a little bit higher. Depending on how tight you feel in the hips, maybe even a bolster would do. So it's keeping it soft. Bringing a bit of lightness, of softness to your space. Allowing your breath to also bring you into a space of softness, ease, a sense of calm. Arriving onto your mat today. Today's class is going to be a nice full body movement, nice and steady. So before we get started, feel free to take this moment to set an intention or just taking a moment of gratitude. Your next breath, go ahead and blink the eyes open. And go ahead and release the palms from the knees. Go ahead and inhale the arms up overhead. Keeping those sit bones anchored into the earth. Reach from your hips, reach through the belly, through the spine. Holding that energy all the way up through the fingertips. Exhale, cactus the arms, the elbows down towards the hips. Keeping those knees nice and open. Subtle push of the outer edge of the knees towards the ground. Inhale, reach back up. Stretch it out nice and long. Exhale, cactus the arms once more. Drive those elbows down towards the hips. Puff up the heart. Maybe even gaze up towards the sky. Inhale, reach up. On the exhale, find a twist towards your left, right hand to left knee. Left fingertips tent back behind you. Just find a nice gentle opening. A little spin through the belly. Inhale, lift up. As you lift up, drawing those knees down towards the earth, keeping your space. And then exhale, left hand, right knee, right fingertips, tent behind you for support. Hugging the belly button in. Inhale, reach those fingertips up. Exhale, cactus the elbows down, back of the hands, draw back behind you. Open the chest, the heart, gaze up. Inhale, pull it all in, hands to heart center. Exhale, settle. Go ahead and untuck that left leg. Bring that left leg out nice and long. Bring it a little bit wider than the mat. Sole of the right foot inside that left thigh. You can stay on your blanket if that's feeling nice and supportive. And when you extend that left leg long, reaching that heel out and away from you, finding a nice long line of energy through the back line of that leg. Sole of the right foot to the inner thigh. And then go ahead and reach and trace that left hand down the left leg. Maybe dropping that left elbow inside that leg, and then the right arm reaches up and overhead. Reaching nice and long, puffing up through the right side of that rib cage to keep yourself lifted, feeling a nice stretch all the way from the right hip through the fingertips. And reach those arms up towards the sky. And on the exhale, the right fingertips are going to plant behind the right hip once more. And then you're going to drive through the left heel, the right shin, and you're going to lift the hips up and forward. Stretching yourself out, keeping that left arm reached up and overhead. Open the body up, maybe gaze up towards the sky, spinning the chest up towards the sky. And exhale, lower nice and slow. Sit bones back to your seated surface, blanket, mat, and then go ahead and come back down inside that left leg. So trace the left arm, the left hand down the leg as the right arm reaches up and overhead, reaching towards those toes. Don't worry about how deep or how far you go, let it feel good. Stretching through the right side body. Inhale, lift up, arms up and overhead. That right hand is going to come back behind you. Lift the hips. Open up. Stretch it out. Reach those left fingertips long. Exhale, lower. And start to make this a nice circular motion, a nice big sweeping movement. As you drop the torso down inside that left leg, sweep the right arm up and overhead. And then you come up. On that inhale, drop the right fingertips and sweep the left arm up and overhead. And then move at a pace that feels good. Move through a few more rounds here. Finding a little bit of self-exploration here in this space, transitioning as it feels good between point A and point B. Maybe versus coming up tall between point A and point B, you kind of sweep your body down and low, coming almost into a forward fold, transitioning between one and the other. Or if you like coming taller to reset, and then transitioning open into that hip opener. And when you feel like you have evened yourself out between the two, go ahead and meet back, finding your sit bones. And then go ahead and bring the left leg in, the right leg out. Adjust your seat as you need if you need more or less support. So right leg is out long, left foot to the right inner thigh. Find a nice tall seat to start. And then go ahead and trace the right leg down the right hand down the right leg. Goodness. And then reach that left arm up and overhead. Let it feel good. Using that connection to make this shape accessible. Puffing up through that left rib cage, reach it up and away. Feel that stretch through the left hip, the left side body. Reach yourself up, fingertips up towards the sky, inhale. Exhale, plant the left fingertips beyond the left hip. Sweep that right arm up and overhead, drive through the left shin, the right heel, open yourself up. And just allow those hips to open, the front body to open. Don't worry about where you are specifically in space, just let it feel good. Exhale, nice and slow, guide yourself back down to your seated position. And then right arm comes down that right leg as the left fingertips reach up and overhead. Sweeping your way through whatever capacity feels good to make your way into that other opener, that hip opener, driving down through the top of the foot, the left shin. On the exhale, you lower yourself down. Sweep your way over towards that right leg. And then find some freedom in your transitions, moving from point A to point B, moving at a pace that feels good, opening and folding as much as you'd like, allowing it to be mellow, doesn't have to be your biggest expression. Just creating some space within the body, allowing for movement to occur, but giving yourself a little bit of freedom to experiment in what feels good in you and your body today. One more round or so, even yourself out. We'll all meet back in that seated position. Lowering your hips down towards the mat. Maybe bringing that opposite shin in front. Find a nice tall seat. Find your breath. And then go ahead and rock back onto your hips. Free up the legs out in front of you and bring the legs a little bit wider than your mat. So we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So if you're facing the top edge of your mat and you feel somewhat restricted by the shape of your mat or the space that you have, feel free to change to the long edge of the mat and find a wider stance if that's where you'd like to move into today. As always, adjust your seat as you need. Each position might require just a slightly different degree of support. Come up onto those sit bones nice and tall. And then exhale, fold forward. And this can be a position where you do just bring your legs straight out in front of you if that's where you'd like to move into today. So anywhere from a seated forward fold to a wide-legged forward fold. Find your space in that movement, in that pose here. Just try to keep a nice long spine as you fold. Go ahead and walk the hands back up through center. Then go ahead and bring the legs toward one another if you did choose a wide-legged forward fold. Remove your blanket for the time being. Go ahead and cross the ankles, roll over top of them, come into a tabletop position. And when you come into this space, do what feels good, as we have been finding some freedom, finding your version of exploration, just moving through barrel rolls, cat-cows, wrist warm-up, working through the soles of the feet. Take the next few breaths to do what feels good, what feels required. Does working into the form sound like something that might be a little bit more of a necessity here in this moment? Working through the feet, the ankles, the hips, the spine, maybe all of it. Maybe just one or two things. You get the opportunity to choose, to decide for yourself what your body needs, what you need. Two more breaths. Go ahead and find a tabletop position. Keeping the toes tucked or untucked, whatever creates more stability with you and your body. Keeping the hips over top the knees, go ahead and walk the hands out, all the way out in front of you, coming into puppy pose. Keeping the hips lifted towards the sky. Use your grip into the earth to allow and gently guide your chest down towards the floor. Feeling a nice opening within the upper back, within the shoulders. And maybe a nice feel-good sensation along the entirety of the spine, the hips. If you have a little bit more mobility, maybe bring your chin down towards the mat like you're giving your mat a kiss. Wherever you choose to be, just keeping that spine nice and neutral. Go ahead and press down through the palms, walk your hands back underneath the shoulders. From here, go ahead and kick that left leg out nice and wide. Feel free to take a little weight shift forward and back. Feeling the opening within the inner lining of that left leg. Maybe playing with the tilt of the hips. Drawing that right left hip point down towards the earth, trying to find a little bit more length. And then settle into that tabletop position. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna slowly walk those hands out, keeping that right arm out a little bit longer. So kind of like you're in puppy pose with that right arm, and then you're gonna thread the left arm underneath the right armpit, dropping the left ear down towards the mat. Might be a few different things happening for you in your body right now. Just breathe into the spaces that need it. Press through the palm of that right hand. Unthread the left. Bring that left hand underneath the left shoulder. Bring the right hand underneath the right shoulder. Left leg comes back in to meet the right. Go ahead and switch sides. So go ahead and extend that right leg out to the side. Grounding down through the sole of the foot, so we're lifted within that inner arch, grounded down through the pinky edge. And feel free to shift your weight forward and back. Drawing that right hip point down towards the earth. Find your center. Go ahead and walk the hands out in front of you. Left arm is going to stay nice and long as you drop the chest. You're going to thread the right arm underneath the left armpit, dropping the right ear down. Go ahead and press down through that left hand. Go ahead and bring the right hand underneath the right shoulder, left hand underneath the left shoulder. From tabletop, tuck those toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Feel free to pedal the feet, dropping one heel at a time. Work into the side bodies as you need. Work into upper back, maybe driving through the palms of the hands, the heel of the hand, to explore a little bit more opening within the heart, within the front body, within the upper back. Then go ahead and start to walk the hands back down or back towards the feet. Let the feet slightly wider than hips with distance. And then go ahead and grab opposite elbows, find ragdoll. Let the head hang heavy. Let the spine traction down towards the earth as the hips lift up towards the sky. And come back into your breath, sending those new inhales to wherever it needs, whatever spaces feel stuck, feel limited here in this moment. Send some new energy into those areas. Breathe new life into that space. And feel free to subtly shift your weight as you need. You might notice those weight shifts a little bit subtly, those weight shifts subtly happening within your body. Just giving your body permission to allow that to happen. Don't try to restrict it. On your next breath, go ahead and release the hands from the elbows. Subtle press through the soles of the feet as you slowly round and ripple yourself up to standing. Arms, shoulders roll open, arms reach up and overhead. Exhale, hands come through heart center as you hinge at the hips. Forward fold. Hands come down to the earth, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Root to rise, inhale, round and ripple the spine up to stand. Once you're all the way up, those arms sweep up and overhead, inhale. Reach for that new energy. Exhale, pull it all in towards center as you hinge and fold. Back down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, ripple all the way to stand. Reach up, maybe even look up. Exhale, hinge and fold. One more round. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Finishing that inhale with the reach up. Exhale, hands to heart center, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. One breath here. And then go ahead and walk the hands back out in front of you. And just press your hips up and back, downward facing dog, just for 2 breaths. Inhale, heels lift up towards the sky. Exhale, bend the knees, just gaze forward as you sink those hips low. Round and ripple the spine, find a nice spinal wave here. From downward facing dog to the top of the mat, coming into plank pose. Pause in plank for just a moment. Exhale, bend the knees, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. 2 more rounds, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, gaze forward. Inhale, ripple the spine. 1 segment at a time, making your way to high plank. Pause. Exhale, downward facing dog, hips lift up. Inhale, heels lift. Exhale, gaze forward. Inhale, round and ripple. Pause. Exhale, downward facing dog. High lie, 1 more round, inhale. Heels lift, exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Round and ripple, high plank, nice and slow. Find your way there. Pause in high plank. Slow lower down all the way to your belly. Shimmy out the hips. Fingertips come to 10 and 2. Gaze is down towards the mat. Inhale, lift up, oscillating cobra. Hips stay heavy as the gaze lifts. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift up through center. Gaze lifts last. Exhale, dip the right shoulder in, gaze over towards the left. Inhale, lift through center. Exhale, gaze to the right, left shoulder dips in. Inhale through center. Exhale, lower. One more round through center, inhale. Nice and high, opening through the belly, through the front body. Exhale, lower all the way down. Stack one hand on top of the other, rest your forehead, wiggle the hips. And find a few belly breaths here. And with that, with every inhale, as your belly expands and presses down into the earth, feel that pressure increase and how that slowly starts to create a little bit more air, more space to fill up the back side of the rib cage. So on the inhale, you start to fill the belly up. Feel the belly expand and then start to feel the rib cage expand, the back body lift. Pausing at the top before exhaling all the way out. Find 6 rounds of breath here. Feeling the slow, steady fill of the belly, of the lungs. Pausing at the top of every cycle and then exhaling it all the way out. Go ahead and bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Press through the hands, lift the belly up through tabletop, back and into child's pose. And allow this child's pose to be a little bit more narrow so that the belly is supported. And with that supported belly to thighs, you can either keep the arms stretched out in front of you if that length feels good. But if you would like a more introverted space, feel free to bring the arms alongside the body so the shoulders roll down, close off your space, and take more of an embryo pose here. Using this little nook to continue to focus on your breath. Almost like you are keeping yourself away from any external or surrounding distractions that may take you away from your space here on the mat, take you away from this moment. Wherever you chose to be, go ahead and walk the hands toward your knees to help lift the torso up and away. And go ahead and cross the ankles. Bring your sit bones back down to the earth. Grab your blanket if you had one nearby. And find that easy seat once more. Elevating your seat to again bring a little bit of a lightness, support, ease, softness, all the good juicy stuff. Bringing that into your space, into your body. And if you haven't already, go ahead and close your eyes. Keeping that focus inward. If your palms are on your knees, your thighs, go ahead and bring one hand to belly, one hand to chest. Feeling the beat of your heart, the flow of the air, the breath within you. And whenever you're practicing this class, whether it's the morning, afternoon, evening, just taking that soft but strong energy that you feel flowing within you, taking that into the rest of your day. As always, I thank you so much for practicing with me. If you'd like to end class here, please feel free. If you'd like to take a few moments in Shavasana, that is also always available for you in your practice space. So I thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing y'all next time. Have an awesome rest of your day.